Another step in the Kyler Murray saga as the Cardinals franchise quarterback heads to injured reserve. What it means for Kyler's future. Jacoby Brissett speaks. So does Marvin Harrison Jr. We hear from them, Johnny.
Yeah, we put up the bat signal. We got the Hall of Famer Kurt Warner. Who's better to break down Jacoby Brissett's renaissance? Plus, what does he believe the future holds for one Kyler Murray? PHNX Cardinals Bow starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier, #1 in the world, Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He is Brack. Noah Man, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. Got Kurt Warner right around the corner. A big day here in the Valley as Kyler Murray officially heads to injured reserve. Is that donezo for the once franchise quarterback, Bo?
Yeah, we'll get into that conversation. This episode of PHNX Cardinals brought to you by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the code PHNX365. Deposit $10, bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets. Bet365, promo code PHNX365, Johnny.
Let's get into this here. The Hall of Famer, number 13, Kurt Warner, joins us now. And Kurt, we were excited to talk Jacoby Brissett. We're going to talk about Jacoby and his 3-game stretch that's now going to be prolonged through, my guess is, the rest of the year. But we have to start with the breaking news. So Kyler Murray, after practicing, and we've tried to decipher this too. Kyler Murray practices for 3 to 4 weeks. There's a bye week mixed in there. And the Cardinals are making it known he's making progress. And in the meantime, Jacoby Brissett's playing well. And then, today Kyler Murray goes on injured reserve. What do you make of this whole dynamic? You were at the game to call it on Monday Night Football. Just your overall assessment of the Cardinals quarterback situation right now.
I think the biggest thing is I don't want to sit here and speculate on, what could have happened or what did happen. Or, I know a lot of people are saying, Jacoby played well. And so, that can, lead to other decisions and other things. I don't really know. I was like all of you guys that thought, hey, maybe there's a chance that Kyler plays Monday night. That's kind of what I was thinking, middle of the week last week. And then obviously they decide to, not suit him up. But, leaving the game, I was thinking, okay, well, probably next week. Next week we're going to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. And then to hear the news today, I don't really know what that means. Does it mean, hey, Jacoby's been playing well enough that we feel like we can let Kyler get healthy? Maybe he wasn't obviously, for them not to suit him up and play him, you have to think that he wasn't fully there yet. And so maybe it was one of those like, hey, now we can buy ourselves a little bit more time because Jacoby just keeps playing well. I'm sure there's the speculation too that, Jacoby's played so well, that maybe we're going to move on or maybe we're going to make a change at the core. But I don't know enough about it to know what all the decisions mean. I think we'll find out, soon enough. I'd say soon enough, 4 or 5 weeks from now, what the direction is. I just think it keeps it interesting. Jacoby was playing well, so it keeps him in that spot. It leaves the questions on, are they convinced Kyler's the guy moving forward? Does this mean something for his future? I think we're all going to speculate with that, but I'm not one of those that's into all that stuff and going to tell you, oh, this is what it means.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't really know what they're thinking right now. And I'll be fascinated like everyone else when that time comes to see, where Jacoby and this team is at that point, and what they're thinking about Kyler.
Whether or not this is an unceremonious end to Kyler Murray's run here in the desert. How would you summarize, now the 7th season, his play, his tenure here?
Well, I think we've seen a lot of really good football. Like if this were to be the end of Kyler with the Cardinals, I think what I would say is the bottom line is just he never hit the level of consistency that you need to be considered that franchise guy. I mean, we all saw how good Kyler can be. Like, we all saw the wow, and we all saw why you go and get him number one and all of those things. Like, nobody debates, does he have that ability? Has he shown that ability? The debate is simply just, there wasn't, we didn't know what we were going to get, week in and week out, year in and year out. We knew it was going to kind of be, it was a roller coaster ride. And, I think if ultimately the decision is made to move on from Kyler, that's why you make the decision, is just because after 7 years, we just needed to see, we needed to know this is what Kyler is, this is what we can expect. And we needed to believe that, when you're paying a guy $250 million, that he's a guy that can take you to that next step. And that never really materialized up to this point. And so that's how I would remember it. A lot of special moments, a lot of incredible football, but just a lack of consistency to be able to, truly build around or make that franchise guy, beyond year 7.
Kurt, I was looking back at the 2007 season, and it's not apples to oranges, but, you and Matt were rotating those first, what was it, maybe 6-7 games.
Yep.
And then Matt unfortunately goes down, Edward Jones down with a broken collarbone, and you come in. And really, I think you guys started like something like 3-4 because there was only 16 games back there. But then the second half of the season, the offense really hit its stride and, of course, carried over into 2008. But, talk to me about like the second half of that season. It was your offense, your playmakers now. Like the Cardinals, I'm not comparing Jacoby Brissett to what you did, but I also think the clarity now Jacoby gets post-bye with Kyler Murray on injured reserve. Talk to me about that experience and how it could be similar.
Yeah. I mean, I think the first thing that we have to recognize here too, that I don't know if enough people are pointing to this. Like, normally when you have a team, you have a definitive starter, like the starter's up here, and then your backups, kind of way down here somewhere. And so when you go through a situation like this, you kind of expect a drop off, to your backup quarterback. With Jacoby Brissett, here's a guy that has been a starter in the NFL, a guy that I've believed if there's a team that needs a starter from the allotment of players that are in the National Football League right now, I think Jacoby as a backup quarterback would be on the top of most people's lists as a guy that could step in and be a starter. So, I don't want to, like, we look at this, Jacoby's playing. Well, Jacoby's a really good quarterback. So let's at least start there and understand that this is a pro quarterback, a starting caliber quarterback that took over. And so, it's not just a backup that came in and go, oh my gosh, the offense looks completely different. So, I just want to make that point. I think we could make the point up in San Francisco too, that Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler and now he's taken over, and people are asking the same questions in San Francisco is, oh man, do you need to pay the guy $250? Is Brack better? And should you stay with, like, these are guys that have started a lot of games and played at a really high level. And so I think we need to understand that aspect of things first. So with that being said, I'm not surprised by the way that Jacoby has played and the fact that he can come in and play good football. But, if we look at the big picture, when Kyler was in there, they were in all these close games and lost all these close games and could have won, basically all the games that Kyler played in. Jacoby, they had a great win here, but they lost games just like they lost them with Kyler when Jacoby was in there. So I think we have to understand the entire perspective here of where this team has been, where were they with Kyler Murray in terms of, they should have won more games with Kyler Murray. And, now if Kyler, let's say, wins 2 of those other ones and, he's whatever, 4-1, 4-2 at the time, and Jacoby's, 1-2, like, how are we looking at it then, other than the fact that, okay, they lost those last few games, close games when Kyler was in there, and now Jacoby plays better, and now they get a win, and you're like, oh man, this is all shaken up. And so I don't think it's as dramatic as I think we're making it. It looks so different because they play different ways. Jacoby's more of a pocket passer, more on schedule, more standing in the pocket and making big plays. Kyler is more creative and wants to play outside of structure more. So it looks different, and different things can be pleasing to different people's eyes. So I understand all that. I just think context is really important here. With who Jacoby is when he came in, what you expected from Jacoby, the fact that this team has been competitive all year long, no matter who the quarterback has been. And it's about finding ways to finish, what they did on Monday night.
He's doing some things with very little precedent, as far as this league goes in his first 3 starts. He matched your first 3 starts with the Rams as far as NFL history, some big-time stats as far as passing yards, completion percentage, touchdowns. And then also he's doing things that the last time a Cardinals quarterback did it was Carson Palmer. So I asked Jacoby today, what it meant to him to hear his name along with yours and Carson Palmer. And he humbly said he didn't feel like he was deserving of that. But, what have you seen from Jacoby? He said he talked to you on Monday night. Have things just clicked for him? Does he just have better playmakers around him? Like, what's really going into – what's the difference between journeyman Jacoby Brissett and Jacoby Brissett who we're seeing here in 2025?
Here's the thing with Jacoby and why, I said that, I felt like he was, borderline starter, could be a starter in the NFL, one of the best backups, however you want to look at it. Jacoby has shown that he can win and play at a high level and throw for a lot of yards and do all of those things. I always felt like the only knock on Jacoby was just the level of consistency, just throwing the football, that there were going to be times in a game where he just missed some throws. Other times he makes them and he just would miss some throws. And so if there was one thing that you could say, okay, made him a top flight backup versus that consistent all the time starter or a franchise guy, it was that, like those difference making plays that you have to make to win games. There's been times in his career where he just hasn't made all of them. And the really good starters in the league, they make most of them, and they make the difference with those. And so that to me is really, in all these years when I've watched Jacoby play, that would be the only thing I could point to say, okay, that's why maybe he gets, a little knock on him, from being at that level. But I've seen him put games together, and I've seen him put stretches together where you don't see many of those, and you see a really good quarterback. And, with that being said, guys can grow and get better. And so maybe that's not even a part of Jacoby's game anymore. Maybe he's been able to work past that, and maybe he is a definitive starter in the National Football League. And so that to me is really, what I've seen since he's come in with the Cardinals is the same guy. I expected to see the big arm quarterback play, on time, in structure, go through his reads, want to stand in the pocket, not looking to take off and create. And I think, part of that can help the playmakers on the outside to feel a little bit more confident in just kind of running their routes and what they're doing. We talked about it a couple weeks ago when there was that interception thrown by Kyler, when he was throwing it to Marvin going across the field, and Marvin all of a sudden slows down because Kyler starts to move. And so he's going to take off and go back the other direction and get into the scramble drill. And Kyler thinks he's going to keep going, and it leads to an interception. And, so you wonder if, a little bit more of that structure, like, hey, I know Jacoby's going to stand in there. I know he's going to hold there. He's going to allow me to be patient on this route. He's going to allow me to do this. Has that allowed, like Marvin, who played great the other night, to have a little bit more success and feel in structure, knowing how it's going to play out, whereas, that little more creative part of it, and I look at Trey, to me, Trey, really good player, and he's so good creatively. Like Kyler and Trey were so good at okay, when things aren't perfect, or let's be a little more creative, kind of like a Patrick Mahomes and a Travis Kelce. Like, here's your route, but if you feel this, go ahead and slow down because I'm going to look at you and I'm going to be ready to put on you. And so you just wonder sometimes, certain players, do they fit better with a certain style of quarterback than other players do? And is that part of the reason why we've seen an uptick in pass yards, at different times because of how Jacoby plays versus how Kyler plays? Not saying one is always better than the other, but simply just saying it's different, and it can lend itself to the scheme being a little bit more successful, maybe certain players being a little bit more successful in certain areas, just because of that.
You mentioned fit. I want to double down on that with you. You mentioned Mac Jones earlier, and the fact that he can travel around to Jacksonville and be a backup, and yet he gets with Kyle Shanahan. It's a fit right off the bat. How much of this is circumstantial? Because it's led Kurt Bowen and I to go back and dissect Jacoby's previous stops. It's like, well, he was in Cleveland here, didn't have great weapons, maybe defensive head coach and Commanders, right, a couple of years ago with Ron Rivera. Could this just be as simple as, and you mentioned it, is this the right scheme at the right time with the right skill players for him to play his best football at the age of 32?
I mean, it very easily could be. I talk about it all the time as a quarterback, is that we all see the game differently. And so the way we process information and the way a play call fits in our mind and how a coach wants us to read it or how it's structured can be way better in certain places than it is in other places. I made that contention like when I went to the Giants. We didn't want to attack down the field. We didn't want to spread out and play to my strengths and throw the kind of routes that I thought I threw best. We wanted to play a different brand of football. And so, I would find myself kind of muddling through certain things. And I was talking to somebody today, we had a game where we played in Baltimore, and, it was one of Eli's first couple starts, and he really struggled in that game. So we were down, and they put me in the second half. And in the second half, because we were down, we spread it out and we got to throw it all over the place. And we were kind of in a 2-minute drill, and we were walking the ball up and down the field, and we put a couple touchdowns on the board. And it was like, let's play like this. Like, this is how I play. This is, what I do best. But that wasn't our style there. That wasn't how they built things in New York. And so I had to figure out, okay, my role was to lead and to make some plays on third down and not turn the ball over and play a completely different brand of football. And it was hard. It was hard from a mentality standpoint because it didn't fit the way I see the game. And so I think it's something that we don't take into consideration very often, is that, we can take a coordinator that's had success other places and then plug him in somewhere and go, well, he's had success other places. So if we doesn't have success here, it's because of the quarterback or a quarterback. Kurt had great success in St. Louis, and now he's not having success in New York. He must not be any good anymore. Well, I came to Arizona and showed that I could still play. It wasn't the right fit. That they weren't asking me to see things the way that I saw them and to attack and to play a certain brand of football. They weren't asking me to build the offense around what I liked and how I saw the game. This was how we were going to do it. This is how we're going to play. You need to fit into our box in that situation. And so that is always an element. I mean, you could look at some of the guys in the league now, the Baker Mayfields and the Sam Darnolds, and, you sit back and go, okay, why didn't they have success in other, like Baker Mayfield? How many places has he been? Right. I mean, Cleveland and Carolina and the Rams and like, why is he bouncing around? We see him now and he's in the MVP conversation. What the heck is going on with this guy? Now, could he have grown up? Could he have gotten better and matured and of course, all those things could happen. Or could it also be he's found himself a spot where they let him play the brand of football that he wants to play and attack, and they've got a system that fits the way he sees the game, and now he's playing at this unbelievable level. And so I think there's so many different factors that go into that, but when you talk about scheme fit, it's a real thing. Like it is a real thing that, how many times do you see really good quarterbacks that go to another place and have the same level of success? It doesn't happen very often. We could talk about Tom Brady, we could talk about Peyton Manning, but what did we always hear when those guys went, from New England to Tampa? They struggled early, and then what do we hear? Well, now Tom has inserted himself and said, hey, let's install my offense. And then when he did that, great success. Peyton, same thing. When he goes to Denver, some struggles early on, and they're fighting it. And then it's like, hey, can we install my offense? And he's doing all the gyrations and all the stuff, and they're back to, and boom, he throws 55 touchdowns in a season and sets a record. It's like, oh, gotcha. Let's play your brand of football because you're really good playing your brand of football. But it's not always that easy. And, again, I know long-winded answer here, but I could take you into when I came to Arizona, and, Ken Wisenhunt came, and he came from Pittsburgh. And so Pittsburgh was, kind of a 12 personnel, one tight end, two backs, fullback, run downhill, play action. That was what made them really good in Pittsburgh. We weren't built that way with Larry and Q and the way, what we had as players, we weren't built that way. And so early on, it was trying to figure that out because coach was real comfortable with that offense. I was real comfortable with a different kind of offense. So we had to kind of mesh and figure things out together. And then ultimately, coach, part of it was him learning through me what this offense looks like and how you build it and what a quarterback's supposed to see. And so he had to trust me with some of that, but eventually it became more of my offense, things that I did and things based around the players we had and not just the system that coach had and had great success with. And so he had to adjust and adapt. And it's not always easy. He was lucky, I think, to have me because I had been in the league and been around a bunch of things. So I could help him learn that phase of things. Not every coordinator has a quarterback that's been in systems and understands that part of it to help them grow. So now it becomes, okay, whoever I have, they've got to fit into my system because this is all I know. And so it's all fascinating to me, guys. I mean, I love all of it. And I don't know the bottom line answer to why this or why that or how this fits with,
right,
and how this fits with Jacoby and all that. But I do know that I've gone through it. And when I went through it, this was really good. This wasn't so good. And I knew exactly why, but there just wasn't a whole lot you could do about it. And you have to try to fit into it. And if you're trying to fit into a system, chances are you're not going to be the best version of yourself.
Feels like ages ago, Monday morning, ESPN drops a report on Marvin Harrison Jr., Kurt, and it's comments from his dad, Marvin Sr., and he said that this Cardinals offense was, he couldn't watch it. He's just overcome with frustration, trying to watch his son succeed at the level that he was a Hall of Famer like yourself, and he just couldn't relate to it. And, there was a couple damning, statements made in it, and then Marvin Harrison Jr. goes out there. You saw it. He has an unbelievable game, right? He makes Deron Bland, unfortunately, fall down in the end zone. He's making comebacks and making catch after catch, high-pointing footballs. What'd you see from Marv, and how important was it for him to maybe follow that up with kind of a statement in a rival game like he did in primetime?
I mean, I think, there's been questions about Marv and where he's been and what he's going to be in this league, since he came into the league. People came in, expected him to be a finished product day one, and it takes time. But, I think that Marvin's made a lot of growth too. Like the one thing that I loved was the early third down where he ran the stop route against Bland, and it was physical at the top of the route. And he banged Bland and created separation and got open. One of the biggest things I heard about Marv last year was him getting comfortable with the physicality of the game at the NFL level and how that was, affecting him a little bit, and being able to get off the bump and run and being able to kind of separate at the top with that physicality was something. We saw the press conference in the offseason where, his guns are like 26 inches now. We're like, oh my gosh. But you just ask yourself, has he grown? Has he gotten better? Has he learned those aspects of it? And so a lot of those plays that we saw on Monday night were one-on-one situations. One-on-one, him against Deron Bland, who's a good player. Go win your one-on-one matchups. And he won it over and over and over again with route running and physicality and the great patience in the goal line with the slant that he won on. And so, I think he's growing. But, part of that could be, maybe to his dad's point, hey, these are the things that Marvin's really good at. Put him on one-on-one stop routes, allow him to, have some patience and run this route. These are other things that you're asking him to do that maybe he's not the best at, even though you're trying to, because like I can only imagine that, an offense coordinator is going to go, I got Marvin Harrison. I'm going to make him the focal point of every route that we have. Like, okay, we put him in the slot. We'll have him run this. We'll put him out here. We'll have him run that. And, is there a point where it's like, okay, but he's not good at that. Like that's not what he does well. I know you want to try to make him the focal point, but maybe Trey should be the focal point on this play so you can allow Marvin to do something that he's really good at instead of putting him in positions where he's not fully comfortable yet or he's not able to play his best brand of football. And then we're all sitting back going, Marv doesn't look very good. And, so maybe his dad was kind of trying to make that point is like, let's figure out exactly what Marvin's really good at, and let's keep him in that wheelhouse. I know I shared this with you before when I was with Larry, and Larry used to tell me, I don't want to move around. Just leave me over here at the X receiver. These one-on-ones, I'm comfortable. If the ball comes to me, I can win on all of these routes that you're going to ask me to run back here. You put me in there, and it's just fast, and I don't feel the same, and I don't feel as comfortable. And, you have to wonder sometimes, like, getting comfortable and knowing what your players do well and then sticking them to that. I know I made the point, too, a couple weeks ago. Steve Preston, he was a 1,000-yard receiver for us here. He wasn't necessarily a great wide receiver from every facet, but there were things that he did really well. I mean, you guys remember, he was a great kick returner. He was great when you got the ball in his hands running. Man, he could make guys miss, and he could do something. So, we would build our offenses going, okay, Steve's over here. Let's keep him on the move. Like, this is what he does. He'll run the shallow routes for us. He'll run the quick in routes for us. He'll run down the field and stretch it for us. Let's not get him to do all these start and stop things, because that's not his strength. And so he was able to have 1,000 yards in this league, which is at that time was an incredible accomplishment. But you never saw that again, because, you go somewhere else and somebody wants to make you the focal point, and now all of a sudden they're asking you to run a whole bunch of stuff that you're not good at, and you don't ever play up to that same potential. So again, all this stuff is fascinating to me, guys. I'm not around it. I'm not seeing these guys every day to know, but that's a huge part of the process. Who is our quarterback? What is he good at? How does he see the game? Who are our receivers? What can we count on them to do? How do we mesh a Trey McBride and a Marvin Harrison, to get them both touches, but more importantly, to allow both of them to do what they do best on every play that we can possibly do that. And figuring out that mix is such a huge part of the process.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you. I think back to the Super Bowl season, and you guys were breaking in Levi Brown at right tackle, right? And he had his ups and downs, specifically as a pass protector. Well, I think a lot of the hesitation with Cardinal fans with Jacoby Brissett is obviously he does not move like Kyler Murray, and he's susceptible to some sacks. Jonah Williams is having a very difficult year at right tackle for the Cardinals, and it's gotten to the point where it's killing drives, and Jacoby Brissett, to his credit, he's hanging in the pocket. He's delivering tight spirals on second and third down. How would you mitigate the pressure coming from the right side if you were the Arizona Cardinals, knowing that, like, not trading for somebody? Would you add additional protection? Would you put a back out there? Is it about getting the ball out faster? What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, again, you have to play a little bit to your quarterback. And, Kelvin Beachum was a guy that they played a number of snaps in this game as kind of that extra swing guy. Put him in the wing, put him in motion, lead block, help on the edge. So that's always, can be a part of it is give presence to your offensive tackles where needed, whether it's putting a tight end there just to kind of slow down the pass rush, whether it's chipping a back, that's a part of it. And I would say especially a part of it with Jacoby as your quarterback, because, again, we were talking about who Jacoby is. Jacoby's not necessarily a, quick out, quick release type quarterback where you're going to spread him out and allow him to kind of deal the football. Like if I was playing, that's what we would do. Todd Haley, when we were in, Super Bowl 43, I kept telling him, Todd, can we spread him out and just let's go 5 out? And he was always worried, like, I don't know if we can protect James Harrison. You're going to get hit. And I'm like, no, this is what I do. Like, I'll get the ball out. Like, trust me, put 5 guys out. I will get rid of the football and we'll be fine. But that was his worry in that situation, when I'm thinking you don't have to worry about that because that's what I do well. That's not necessarily what Jacoby does well. He's a little longer release. He's the big arm quarterback that wants to push the ball down the field. So, 5 out can be obviously an aspect of it to help guys and get the ball out quick. But I think with Jacoby, the idea would be more chip, presence, add an extra offensive lineman, help those tackles so you can push the ball down the field a little bit more, which is really where Jacoby Brissett, excels, as opposed to, trying to get him to do something that's not a perfect fit for him.
Unbelievable insight. So generous with this time. It was great to have you, back around this organization calling that game on Monday night, and for how the Cardinals perform. I mean, that defense against that offense was stellar with the addition of Walter Nolen and also putting Garrett Williams back in there. But it's great to hear you break it down, Kurt. Can't wait to do it again later this month.
Sounds good. I will talk to you then, and can't wait to see where the Cardinals are at that point.
See if Jacoby can keep it going. That's the Hall of Famer. It's Kurt Warner. Big thanks to Kurt. Drop a like. We got 500 watching live. We're coming back right around the corner with more PHNX Cardinals. I feel like I hit the lottery here with this show and the news with Kurt Warner. But first, I'm gonna detour real quick. I'm gonna talk about our friends at Pure Edibles, and then Bo's gonna talk about Arizona Lottery, because Pure Edibles, founded in Arizona and is available 130 dispensaries statewide. They have Pure Edibles created in Flagstaff at Noble Herb Dispensary, the home of Pure Edibles, now made in sunny Phoenix, Arizona. And they're not covered in sugar like a lot of the competitors. Pure is a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks, chews, hard candies. They've got effects clearly listed on every tin, so you know exactly what you're getting. And what you're getting is gummies that can help for sleep support, as well as candies with uplifting effects derived from unique cannabinoids such as CBN, CBG, CBD, and marijuana-derived THC. Check them out right now. Go find yourself some Pure Edible products at one of their over 130 dispensaries across AZ, Bo.
I feel like I just won the lottery. This show right here. No, that's not in the script. That's the improvisation from my co-host, Johnny Venerable. But I feel like I hit the co-host lottery way back when with Johnny. It was unbelievable. Every day I get to relive that winning ticket. You need to relive, actually win some tickets with this season, the holiday season. $80 million in prizes, holiday tickets from Arizona Lottery, your chance to fill stockings with cash. Because people don't want socks. They don't want dental floss. They don't want those lame stocking stuffers. They want, of course, what's going on over the Arizona Lottery. The holiday scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Love the play and spread the holiday cheer. Check it out for yourself. You got the fast play tickets. You got the candy cane cash. It smells like peppermint when you scratch it off. Nice little festive touch. The cash countdown. Don't miss out on the holiday scratchers from the Arizona Lottery. Check them out right now and play and gift today.
Hit that like button. Big thanks to Kurt Warner. Man, what a show. What content do we have planned for the rest of this week? We got Baldy, by the way, tomorrow, who is fired up about the Cardinals dub, as are we. But we glossed over it in the opening. Kyler Murray placed on injured reserve. We had speculated on Twitter, and then, of course, Saturday, Monday show, Tuesday show, that the Cardinals would inevitably do this. And it's the only card they can play. No pun intended. Jacoby Brissett, the minute he was listed as the team's starter moving forward, you could not have Kyler Murray on the practice field, leading to speculation, leading to questions. And again, I'll let Bo give his 2 cents on it. I think he and I are in lockstep. Like, this is what's happening, in my opinion. The Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray had an injury. Jacoby Brissett's played well. And it's gotten to the point where, is Kyler Murray 100% healthy? Probably not. But is he like IR worthy? Well, he's been practicing for 3.5, 4 weeks. So you be the judge. This is protecting an asset, because he is an asset until January, where you can tell everybody, and they will, at the end of the year presser, Kyler is a part of our future. He looked great at the end of the year. We let Jacoby finish this out. And then they'll try to trade Kyler Murray. That's what they're doing. They're not going to put Kyler Murray on the practice field to potentially injure himself. They're not going to put him in any more games, barring some catastrophic situation. Kyler's played his last down of football for this franchise, and he'll have a chance to start his career elsewhere in the offseason, Bo.
Yeah, look, this was the path of least resistance. This was the one that just made the most sense. If you were going to continue to say he wasn't healthy enough to play, and that's why Jacoby was in there, and they stopped that type of charade yesterday, that it was going to be tough to come up with reasons of why Jacoby's, starting and Kyler Murray's not. Right. And this is just a move for all parties involved that's going to help move this thing forward, giving the Cardinals at 3-5 a chance to keep their season on life support, and Kyler Murray to remain and keep, the respect of his teammates, his coaches, and then also, teams all around, 31 other teams around the league that, they're not going to have to, like, the evidence that they're going to have, it ends like today. I mean, there's not going to be a case against Kyler Murray that can be built. And it's so important, especially when you've got a massive contract that you're going to have to deal along with Kyler Murray, if that's the path they can find. But, it really does feel like this was an unceremonious end that Kyler Murray is going to kind of go silently into the night in his Cardinals career. I mean, it's just, It made no sense to try to bring Kyler back and be a backup. And as far as when you look at the statistics, they're undeniable as far as how the offense had produced on Jacoby versus how it did with Kyler. And that's where we are now. And that's the information that we have. And I think that's the way that Jonathan Gannon is proceeding. So, and it's not necessarily like the Cardinals looked at Kyler Murray and his bill of health or this foot injury and said, hey, this isn't working. It seems like, according to Pelissaro and Schefter, that they got several opinions on that. And you can continue to operate under the guise that this is an injury. And that's fine. But, regardless of what it means, I think it does spell the end of Kyler Murray's tenure here in the desert.
It's an unfortunate end. Because I would have loved to have seen him play all 17 games this year. And if he had, be able to assess the full scope of where the team was at and where he was at. I thought, listen, a big benefit of this offense last year was that it kept Kyler Murray upright. It was not the case this year. And again, the departure of Clayton Adams, I think, speaks to that. But it's clear now. You can make an argument. They ran a different offense. They did not tailor the offense to Kyler Murray. Those are all valid points, but it doesn't change how we got here. How we got here was an injury that opened the door for Jacoby, and you heard Bo rattle off some statistics, has been unbelievable. And again, like, there are going to be people waiting in the wings if Jacoby is average to below average at Seattle this weekend saying you should have never, bench Kyler Murray. You deserve this. Kyler Murray hasn't beaten the Seahawks since 2020. Okay, let's just call a spade here. And I'm not ripping Kyler Murray, but This is a move for the rest of this year. Kyler Murray was always going to be year to year with this franchise. He needed to play, and he needed to play well. And again, I said this, we dropped another piece of content today on here on YouTube. I'll reiterate this. If your qualms are with Gannon and Ossenford, because they're also not winning, you're 100% right in that assessment. Like, they don't have the cachet to be able just to kind of flip-flop. But they have more than Kyler Murray right now. And they have the year of Michael Bidwell and the support of Michael Bidwell. And they're going to have an opportunity to play this out with Jacoby Brissett this year. And then you would imagine in the offseason, draft a quarterback relatively high. Now, there are going to be hurdles. Is Kyler Murray a tradable player is something, Bo, you and I are going to speak at nauseum. I reached out to somebody today that I trust that said probably a day 2 pick is about as good as you can hope for. They're not going to get a first. I think you and I have of the mindset anything, within that scope would be a home run for this team. But I also think, like, depending on, like, because he's taking the teeth right now publicly. And, like, what do other owners and, GMs think of Kyler Murray, the player and the person? That is going to dictate whether or not they're able to trade him. Because I'm not putting it off the table that they would have to outright release him. We've been saying that since Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah. People are looking at the organization as far as how this all went down. And it's been such a step-by-step process. It's been like pulling teeth. I think when you look at the timeline with the injury, the unfortunate injury against the Titans, and then it turning into a Liz Frank type injury to where it could be basically turned into a season ender. That was playing with a lot of risk. And at least, Jacoby Brissett's first start, that was a leap of faith. That was a lot of like, let's see what this is about. We have confidence about Jacoby as a backup, but what Jacoby Brissett has done since then, and people are skeptical about it, him sustaining that, and that's fine.
Right.
But he has played lights out. He's played very good football. He's had multiple touchdowns in each and every start.
Yep.
He's passed over 250 yards in each and every start. What more could you ask from your quarterback? And that's also forced this issue from the organization. And I think, it's unlocked some things as far as what you're doing with Marv and Michael Wilson, Zay Jones, Trey McBride, finding the end zone consistently 4 times in 3 games. It's just, it's pressed the Cardinals into this move, and this injured reserve move today gives both parties the ability to quietly get to the offseason as long as everybody stays mum and protect, and save face from all standpoints.
That's the key term. we're saving face here. This is not, I mean, again, like, I don't want to be disrespectful to Kyler Murray and his camp. It's like,
Right.
It's like, hey, he's not injured. So what are we doing here? Like, I don't believe that. Like, I'm sure his foot hurts, but like, I also do believe, like, I mean, you saw the video, everybody, 500 people watching. Like, Bo's at practice every day. He looks good enough to play. He's out there running around on the field before the Dallas game. Like, all of that is just cause for speculation. So I think the Cardinals have tried to navigate this the best they can. Excuse me. Have they made some mistakes? Yeah, you bet your ass they have. Like, this has not been a smooth process. And we're going to find out more over the course of the coming months, like, behind the scenes, what took place when. I'll give you my 2 cents right now is I believe they called teams to move him yesterday, Monday, over the weekend. Like, I firmly believe that. And somebody tell me that. Like, the exploratory conversations were had, but just the salary implications, everything going on. You know, you also have to, I mean, he doesn't have to sign off on a trade, but certainly everybody's got to be bought in. It's just not something that you can broach really at the trade deadline seriously. Whereas a reset GM, head coaches, executives can go into the new league year and say, okay, we like Kyler Murray. We've got an offense that supports him. If we're in New Orleans, we play in a dome, right? He has an opportunity to come here and do a lot of the things that he had success with in Arizona. I mean, you heard Kurt Warner say this, and this is where I'll defend Kyler Murray and his defenders. The Cardinals want to do play action till it hurts. They do not want to sit there and spread out teams with 3 or 4 wide. Like, Jacoby Brissett had play action almost 60% of the time on Monday Night Football. And while they didn't do that a lot with Kyler Murray, it was clear it was some kind of Frankenstein monster hybrid, not great, whatever that was. I don't want to go back to that. But like, if you can find a partner that can appreciate Kyler Murray, the competitor, which Bo and we've never questioned him, that can say, you know what, we've got playmakers. We're going to let Kyler Murray be Kyler Murray. I think you could have success. Where you can't have success, and it's obvious now, is if you ask him to be something that he's not. And that is I think the biggest, craw in Cardinal fans who are like, we should have tailored the offense to Kyler Murray. And who knows, maybe Gannon and Austin Ford will live to regret that, but that's not a conversation for today.
Yeah. And like, I think Gannon especially wants to do right on the player as far as Kyler. Like, this isn't like, hey, we just throw you out of the facility and you go on and continue your career elsewhere. They want to do right by Kyler Murray, and they're treating this with kid gloves, and he deserves that respect. The future of Kyler Murray, we continue that conversation, plus hear from the Cardinals head coach what went into this decision to put him on IR. It's all coming up next. PHNX Cardinals.
If I was a betting man, there was no way I would take the bet that Kyler Murray would be out as the franchise quarterback before Thanksgiving. Yet here we are, and the betting scene is it rewards the aggressive. It rewards the bold here, as does our friends at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app today. We've got Thursday night football tomorrow. See yourself with the Thursday night touchdown offer. Place a qualifying parlay bet totaling $20 or more on tomorrow's game, and you get a bonus bet for every touchdown. How about it? Terms and conditions apply. Again, sign up right now. Bet365 is the place to be if you're into, free bonus bets. When you bet $5 or lose for new customers, $200 in bonus bets to be exact. Sign up, use the code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for $5, get $200 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary. With Bet365, you got to be 21 years and older, physically located here in Arizona. If you or someone has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more info.
I'm going to talk well and highly of one of our favorite sponsors and partnerships, but also be a little derogatory, Rally House. I went into the Rally House in Dallas, and it was a fresh hell I didn't want to experience. But that's because there was just Dallas Cowboys gear everywhere. It was tailored to that fan base. Sure, not only was there Cowboys gear, but there was Mavs gear. There was all the universities around there like UT. They've got the Dallas Stars. They've got Rangers gear. Like they have everything for the local team. And I thank my lucky stars that we have a rally house here in the Valley that supports and sells all the favorite gear and fan wear for your favorite teams. Cardinals, Diamondbacks, Suns, ASU, U of A, GCU, whatever it is that you're a fan of here locally in the Valley, they've got your swag. They've got your game day vibe right there. Find your local rally house, which cater to that specific area's favorite sports teams. It's unreal, and it's better than the team shops. Go check them out today. Their entire product assortment's online, and you can find all the gear you want. Rallyhouse.com, rallyhouse.com.
Hit that like button. Jacoby Brissett spoke to the media. It was his first official presser as the new starting quarterback of this team, Bo. Your takeaways from the newly appointed QB1.
Loved hearing from Jacoby today. He held court, gave us some great insight. I guess let's first hear from JG. I mean, JG spoke later, but this was more insight as far as Kyler Murray headed to injured reserve.
Kyler's going to go on IR. Staying for him and for us. He's not fully healthy, ready to go yet, so that makes the most sense. Obviously, that's a change. He's fully committed. Right now, what he's going to concentrate on is getting healthy. He's not healthy enough to play. He needs to get healthy so he can get back to playing football.
So pretty straight to the point. You know, there was some follow-up questions as far as how Kyler took it. You know, and Gannon said, you know, he's a competitor, and of course, like he took it as well as he could, but obviously he lives to play football. That's what he wants to do. He wants to get on the grass. He wants to play ball. So, you know, you got all those questions answered from Gannon, but you know, nothing profound there. Talked to Jacoby today. You know, as we talked to Kurt Warner, like, what's the difference between Jacoby Brissett, who played early career with the Patriots, then went on to the Browns, to the Colts, and not in that order, the Commanders, back to the Patriots. But I asked him, you know, you got Marv, you got Michael Wilson, you had a big play too. You're finding success with Zay Jones, Trey McBride. Is this the best collection of playmakers you've played with?
I would say so. You know, I think we got a lot of talent on this offense, and you know, it's been fun these last couple of weeks, obviously, to get out there and play with those guys, and trying to continue that this week.
Yeah, you have that, and I kind of had the sneaking suspicion that was the case. I mean, you would probably have one big-time playmaker where he was in each stop along the way. Like there was a Gronk with the Patriots, and then you had guys more tailor fit towards the starting quarterback in each spot. But here, I mean, you got Marv, who he's actively unlocking. You know, Michael Wilson, who we've seen be productive, you know, outside of the start of this season. Seen Zay Jones be a productive guy. And then, of course, Trey McBride, the monster that's the tight end. I mean, he's got a ton of options there. We asked him more about his relationship with Marv, and it was also a little bit of open up some insight into the struggles from Marvin Harrison Jr. early on.
I mean, I definitely can see him becoming one of the better receivers in this league. You know, I think the rapport started back in OTAs with a lot of those guys, and me trying to get to know these guys and learn them. And obviously, I was kind of the new addition to the room and stuff like that. And those guys already been here and been in the system and been playing together for a while. So just trying to, you know, fast track that relationship as much as possible, and you know, stand after practice a couple of days, and obviously, you know, hearing the conversation that they've had in the room together, and based on like going from last year to this year, and you know, and obviously now that I'm playing, kind of just being vocal about things that I like, what I don't like, and what they like and what they don't like, and kind of, you know, compromising and meeting in the middle.
What I found the most interesting from Jacoby's comments, and I've got him on my Twitter at Bo Brack, is that the dynamic shift that has happened. Because when Jacoby Brissett was QB2, Marvin Harrison Jr. was like, hey, will you go throw me some routes? And it's like, I'm going to go run this. You throw me the ball here. I'm going to go do this. Now that he's QB1, he's calling the shots. But he said during that time, you know, Marv was going through a tough time. And like, when was that? That was like right around Seattle week. That was right around before things kind of hit rock bottom for Marv, when he's fumbling the ball into an opposing defender's hands and he's stopping a route, turns into an interception. And it's like, Brissett was just kind of a sounding board for him and helped him through that.
They've clearly developed a relationship, a rapport. And again, like, this is not a knock on Kyler Murray. Marv and Kyler Murray are friends, but they're just, they have a connection right now that I don't think can be disputed. And here's the thing. If you're a Cardinal fan, like, the asset of Kyler Murray was secured by the prior regime. So I'm trying to put everybody in the mindset of, like, this regime, right? Yeah. Who needs to work for this regime to be able to go to Michael Bidwell and be like, our investments are working, right? Because Kyler Murray was always a reclamation project. It was a guy that they inherited in 2023 that they were excited about. But again, they didn't sign him to that contract. They were trying to make the most of it. And I think by and large, they did up until this horrific stretch that has led us to this point. But I say all that to get back to the original point, like, Paris Johnson Jr., top 6 pick, home run. What needs to happen now? Marvin Harrison Jr., the 4th overall pick, needs to work. And it needs to work now. And again, like, if you're Monty Ossenford and Drew Petzing trying to save your job, like, it would behoove you to be like, yeah, now's the time we need to see what we saw Monday night every week. Partially, and this is where a lot of us have come from, they're not good enough to win without Marv playing like that. They don't have James Conner. They don't have a bunch of, elite receivers yet. Trey McBride can only do so much. This is starting to unlock Marv. Now they have to roll it into a couple consistent performances. Like, I'm with people, like, Marv got concussed against the Colts. Mm-hmm. And then the next week, it was just kind of okay against the Packers. They need to build off of this. And again, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it took them 2 or 3 games playing together where it was like, okay, now I know what he does well. And I think about all the time that Kyler and Marv spent together trying to get their rapport down, and it didn't work, right? Or it barely scratched the surface. So I'm willing to give Jacoby a couple more games here, but the targets need to be there. And the targets were there Monday. And look what happened. So Marvin needs to work out. And for Ossenford and for Gannon's sake.
Walter Nolen spoke today at his locker too. Very entertaining conversation with the 16th overall pick coming off his stellar debut. We'll get into that. On the other side, PHNX Cardinals.
But first, I want to talk to you about our friends at Game Time. Game Time right now. I just talked to my dad before the show. He's taken my son, a bunch of his cousins, to Cardinals Falcons. And he said, what's the best place to get tickets for later this year? And he threw out a couple other names, and he said Game Time. I said, of course it's Game Time. And then right before we launched the show, bada boom, bada bing, he had 5 tickets on the Cardinals, not sideline, kind of adjacent. I'm going to tell you right now, the ticket price that he got unequivocally, because I cross-referenced it, better than any other site. Better than Joe Blow ticket site that's going to charge you a bunch of egregious fees. You know what you're paying up front. Game Time, the premier ticketing app, not only for Cardinal games or pro football, college football, right? I've gotten ASU tickets. I've gotten concert tickets, right? I've gotten parking passes. It is upfront with their zone deals, their seat view, lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time. How about this? It's going to credit you 110% of the difference. Game Time ticket coverage is there, so your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service. I have never, ever had, and I'm being transparent, a bad experience with Game Time. I strayed from Game Time over the summer to buy pro wrestling tickets for my son. Immediate bad experience. So when SmackDown came to Mullet Arena in October, where did I go Game Time? Had a banner time with our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Bonus code is PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today.
Just like everybody needs a real solid ticketing app, everybody needs a checking account. Like 100%. Where are you going to keep your money? You're not going to keep it like in your freezer, or you're going to bury it in your backyard in tin cans, or whatever crazy cockamamie idea you could come up with. Mountain America Credit Union is going to not only give you a checking account, they're going to do an account with built-in benefits that you're going to get unreal perks from. How about My Style checking account with the perks just for you? You can enjoy restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and so much more. Make My Style your lifestyle with Mountain America Credit Union. Visit macu.com/mystyle to apply. Insured by the NCUA. Membership required based on eligibility. Some benefits require no cost registration activation. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply, but get those perks like those restaurant deals, like that identity protection, and so much more. macu.com/mystyle. My Style, your lifestyle at Mountain America Credit Union.
Hit that like button, Bo. You said you heard from the breakout player, Monday Night Football, Walter Nolen. Now, I'll preface this by when Bo and I interviewed Walter and his team presser, but when we sat with him in the spring, he's a very reserved individual, or at least he was. Could we be seeing a new, more, I don't know, savvy Walter Nolen after his debut?
Still kind of doesn't give you a lot, but it's quality over quantity, I guess. With Walter Nolen, kind of still new to the scene, not a big soundbite machine, but we asked him about how he kind of hit the ground running, and he said that he played in the SEC, so he wasn't overwhelmed with it. I know Nick Rawlis said that the moment wasn't too big for him,
right?
But as far as Walt, you just kind of find out what feeds his freak a little bit.
I mean, that's all I know how to do is play fast and violent, and I feel like I brought that to the defense this week, and I'm gonna continue to do it every week. Just gonna get better every week.
He said, "All I do is play 2K and play football. It's my life." He just gets on the sticks, playing 2K, and he plays football. He also had this, which I'm sure endeared himself to the fan base, about making his debut on the big stage in the Jerry Dome.
I mean, what a better stage to do it in, especially in Dallas. That's supposed to be America's team. It looked like it that week.
Didn't look like America's team to Walter Nolen, but look, short to the point. But he's a guy that I think everybody he exceeded their expectations for the 16th overall pick. You got people who root for, cover the 49ers. They're like, how the hell was he not the pick at 11th overall? You got a bunch of teams. You got Joe Goodberry from Cincinnati, who was just a pick behind him, and they're trying to. Shamar Stewart is as unproductive as he was in college in his first season with the Bengals defense. So lots of people are watching Walter Nolen's performance on Monday night and saying, how did we not land this guy?
The number one box you want to be able to check is the ability there. That's the scariest box, because I think people are still asking, like, what's Darius's next level in the NFL? Will it emerge? Right. And then, people question Marv. It's like, and he quieted critics, I think, at times last year, the Rams game, but that's the number one box. It's like, can you play? Because how many times we hear the story of like guys going on the practice field and you knew right away, like, this guy can't play, or this guy needs a ton of work. The one common denominator that we heard about Walter throughout OTAs, it's just like, I talked to Israel Wolford about it, the quarterback coach at Kyler Murray's softball game. He's like, it just sounds different when he hits the bag. Mm-hmm. And again, it's this isn't a knock on him or Darius, but like, you look at Darius is a freak, like, physically. He looks like Superman. Walter Nolen, just his game, you just have to watch it to appreciate it. I don't think even his physical stature does it justice. And the Cardinals right now, I think Ozzy puts it well in the chat, he is a unicorn freak. Yep. And they were gifted him because a lot of teams overthought it. I mean, it's a premium position, disrupting defensive tackle that should have been a top 10 pick. How's Mason Graham doing? Anybody heard his name this year for the Browns? I know the Browns are good defensively. He's probably doing fine, actually. But like, I haven't heard one thing about Mason Graham this year.
Yeah.
Walter Nolen, the biggest attribute he had, people are like, well, he is a disrupting pass rusher. Whereas like people are like, Mason Graham's solid all around, right? That is a home run pick if he has to stay healthy. People were like concerned about his love for football. I don't really care what he does. As long as he shows up and plays like that, he can do whatever the hell he wants off the field.
No doubt about it. We continue our love fest for Walter Nolen III here on PHNX Cardinals. Thanks for watching on our TV affiliates and overtime at PHNX.com to continue the party. Dak Prescott, he was sacked season high 5 times by the Cardinals defense on Monday night. It wasn't even close. Like the next closest team were the Giants. And they've made some heavy investments in their front seven. Huge contract and draft assets for Brian Burns, top 5 pick on Thibodeau, and then, of course, top 5 pick on Abdul Carter. and they've got some nice players already on that defense, but nobody had touched Dak like as far as getting to the quarterback like the Cardinals did on Monday night. I mean, it was like the Denver Broncos, who everybody week in and week out gives them their flowers for being one of the best top defenses in the league. They sacked Dak just twice. Before that, there was a stretch of, let's see, 4 games, 4 weeks. They gave up 3 sacks. I mean, this has been a stout offensive line. And with the addition of Walter Nolen, playing next to Calais Campbell and then mixing in Dalvin Tomlinson and Darius Robinson and Dante Stills, plus Josh Sweat being an absolute manimal coming off the edge.
Right.
And Zaven Collins, who Calais Campbell gave an immense amount of respect to today with his bull rushing and it opened up opportunities for everybody else. Like, this has the makings of being a big time problem for opposing offenses.
Just because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth here. Mason Graham, you ready for this?
Yeah.
Half a sack. He's played in every game. 61 PFF grade. This is fine. Half a sack, a couple hurries, a couple quarterback hits. He's fine. He's been fine. I would be hard pressed to suggest he's had a game like that on Monday Night Football. And what we've dissected all week is maybe we were a little critical of like Dalvin Tomlinson or some of these other players where Zaven Collins, where it's like, these guys are solid. They're not finishing games. You add a player of Walter's caliber, and it's like, that's the magic key to unlock everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like you talk to everybody. Calais mentioned this today. I encourage everybody to check this out on PHNX Cardinals. Like, Zaven Collins is doing like the dirty work so other people can shine right now. And so like Walter is freeing up Josh Sweat. Josh Sweat's had a good year, really good year. He had maybe his best game of the year. Why is that? Because Walter Nolen was kicking the ass of multiple interior offensive linemen, high-level guards. Booker's a number 1 pick. Tyler Smith or other guys. I mean, they have really good interior offensive line play, and we know who coaches them. Yeah. Abusing them up front. And then Josh Sweat's, that makes him that much more dangerous. I mean, this is like Jacoby Brissett. We question, like, can he keep this going? The Cardinals have to keep this going up front. This is their best avenue to be able to get a hot streak going with the takeaways, with the disruption. Because last year it did feel like Nick Rallis was putting together like scheme games, and the Cardinals were like getting out with the skin of their teeth, and they were playing well. Mm-hmm. But when they had to against good teams at the end of last year, they couldn't stop anybody. Now with Walter, everybody suddenly is that much better. And he is the difference maker, the magic elixir. And like, that was his first game. Like, what's he going to look like at the end of the year? What's he going to look like in 2026? Is he going to be one of the best defensive linemen in the NFL?
Well, let's see him, put together back-to-back performances. Let's do that. I'll pump the brakes a little bit, but as far as total pressures, according to PFF, you look at Josh Sweat, like he had 1 against Green Bay, he had 3 against Indy. Season high was 5 back against Carolina. Pretty ho-hum. He had 11 against Dallas. 11 quarterback pressures. He had 2 sacks, 2 hits on the QB, and then 7 hurries. And like a lot of that was being opened up by guys like Nolen, Campbell, and Zaven Collins.
That's your recipe to win this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I mean, like,
you got a repeat of last, in State Farm Stadium, you got to repeat what the Rams were able to do to Sam Darnold.
And I thought, I thought the Cardinals played Jackson Smith and Jigba about as well as anybody's played him all year. I know he had that big catch at the end of the game. He didn't do anything in the first half.
Right.
It is about Jacoby Brissett taking care of the football and making some timely throws and then kicking the holy hell out of Sam Darnold up front. Like, that's it. If they can do that, like, we know Sam can go downhill. We have Baldy on the show tomorrow. He echoes his sentiment of like, Washington's personnel is nothing compared to the Cardinals defensively. So anybody looking at Washington's dead. They're a dead team this year. They're toast, right? Like, they don't have the players. They were old last year. They caught lightning in a bottle. I think Sam Darnold's playing well. I don't think it's necessarily a byproduct of like he's as good as he showed maybe last week. Yeah. Something tells me like if they hold that offense to under 24 points, the Cardinals can win this game.
I mean, he's saying that they lost 23-20.
I know. But I think,
yeah.
I mean, like,
and that was, they weren't at full strength. They didn't have Walter Nolen. They didn't have Garrett Williams. They didn't have Will Johnson.
I think the offense
they still had a good showing. Now, albeit that was at home. It was at home against Seattle.
They're more suited to attack them now.
But yeah, and look, I mean, I was talking to Seattle podcast today, and they're riding high, man. And like the best way, especially when you have an offense that's kind of clicking like they are, it's the old Mike Tyson, quotes like everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. And like that's what this defense has the ability to do.
Yeah. Make it ugly, right?
Yeah.
Don't you feel like Sam Darnold, the other shoe's going to fall when he plays a good defense? Like how many good defenses has he played this year?
It's a good question. Let's take a look.
I know. Did they play Houston? That's probably the best.
Yeah. They turned the ball over 4 times that game. They still won.
Because Houston's offense was just terrible.
But they played the Steelers. Steelers, like, it was week 2. They won 31-17.
Remember they had that fumble in the end zone, though?
Yeah.
I mean, the Steelers were winning that game. The best defense they played, week 1 Niners, and they scored 13 points. And the Texans, 27-19. Those are probably their best 2 victories this year. Because you think about it, Commanders are bad. I mean, they scored 20-12 against the Jags. They gave up 38 to Baker Mayfield. Listen, it's going to be a very tough game. I mean, Bo, do factor with Gannon never beating the Seahawks? Is that in play?
Yeah, I mean, how more like do you need any more to pile on the Kyler Murray thing? Like, if you go up there and you finally beat Seattle for the first time since 2021. But look, this defense gives you a chance. I think we got if they can continue to ride this hot streak.
Do you expect
it helps that Garrett Williams came back too? Like that was a big part of it. And like Max Melton's in concussion protocol. He's had a really fine season. Like I think even with the short week, he's got a good chance to return. We'll see about Mac Wilson.
That'd be big.
But other than that, I was looking at the injury report that they dropped. First real practice is going to be tomorrow, but Beach was out on the rest day, and then those 2 players I just mentioned. So they continue to be relatively full strength.
I agree with this in the chat. Well, we also left 2 turnovers on the table. I think you have to turn Seattle over twice in this game to win.
Yep.
And turnovers are contagious. And maybe they started something Monday where everybody's got confidence. It was clear, like Monday, they were punching balls out. Like that was a coaching note. Why I haven't done that sooner, I don't know. But they're punching the ball out of George Pickens and Jake Ferguson, and that was just great. And they dropped an interception, right? Mac Wilson had a drop pick. George Pickens recovered his own fumble. I love the aggressive roll the dice Cardinals defensively when Walter Nolen can help you win with 4. It's been the missing key piece.
Yeah, when you're looking at the line of scrimmage and it's Walter, it's Calais Campbell, it's Sweaty J, and either Baron Browning or Zaven Collins, like that'll do.
Well, like you think about a guy like Dante Stills, who was overly relied on because they had to, and then like Monday night they use him sparingly, but then he gets pressure on Dak.
Yeah.
You're waiting for Darius to put it together. And it's just like, I hope it clicks for Darius. Cause when it does, then that's a huge coup. I mean, like I saw a mock draft with Mel Kiper and not Todd McShay, but somebody else. And Kiper had him going a defensive tackle. I got a text from somebody and they were like, would the Cardinals do this? And I'm like, Calais Campbell's going to have 10 sacks this year and he's likely to retire. I mean, like if it's the best player on the board, I wouldn't hate it, but we need Darius Robinson for the light to come on and help this team. And then the sky's the limit, in my opinion.
Love what's going on in the chat. You guys are crushing it. Let's get to some super chats here before we get out of here and on to our Wednesday night. Short week, man. We're going to get to that game before we know it. I
Can't wait.
Just a couple days away. Just 2 practices for the Cardinals. Here we go. The 90s Poppy. I rock the K1 with K1 since day one, but I'm a Cardinal fan over anything else. And Jacoby is killing it. Spell it like Ja, and then Kobe Bryant is killing it. P.S. My last 2 super chats were missed. I'm sorry, the 90s Poppy.
Guy.
We want to remedy that. So anything you want to put in the chat free of charge, we'll get it up on the screen.
I agree with, it's hard right now. It's a tough time for Cardinal fans. I think the dub helps, though, exponentially. Thank you, 90s Poppy. $10 from our guy, Shaft. Appreciate you, Shaft. Let's have a huge watch party to support our new starting quarterback. Shaft will be there Sunday at Gila River Resorts in Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Let's get as many diehards at Wild Horse Pass as possible. It's a great place to party and watch football. I would agree with that. What do you say, Bird Gang? Let's party.
Man, what a war cry. I like it. Shaft really leading the charge where Johnny's fallen short as far as promoting our watch party.
Wow.
Thank you, Shaft.
I'm sorry. You're also going to be there.
Yeah, join us on Sunday. Like, it's going to be great. This could be a season kind of altering type game.
It would be.
I don't think that's hyperbole.
No, and it would be a defining game for Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah. Great stuff, Shaft.
I'm a Cardinal fan. I root for them no matter the quarterback to succeed.
I root for the name on the front of the jersey, not the back of the jersey.
Wow, you hate the players. Interesting.
Darth Vader. I'll let you always read these.
Thank you, $4.99. Get my free shirt from renewing my diehard membership. Let's go. Can't wait. Be like me, become a diehard. All of our super chats today are just promoting PHNX Cardinals, which I absolutely love. The shilling is strong with this one. Yeah. Darth Vader, we appreciate you. Become a diehard. Go phnx.com. Also become a supporter in the chat. Everybody's like, how do I get those cool emojis? How do I get member-only streams? So you got to click that button. Click join. It's just $5. In a world where ESPN and Apple can't get along, let's get along together. You'll always have access here. Become a supporter for $5.
My wife ran into that YouTube TV snag. I was at the, covering the game, and it was Monday night, like they're about to kick off. She's like, how do I watch the game? Can't find it. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
We had to shell out a couple more bucks for ESPN's app.
I canceled YouTube TV and switched over to Hulu Live, and my son's into it because now he gets like the wrestling premium live events, and he's like, "This is what we should have been doing all along." I'm like, "Quiet down, Hudson."
How do you go? Always knows. Did he tell you Jacoby was the answer all along too? He probably knew that as well.
He did. He's a big Tyler stan.
Times are tough. Libertarian Sasquatch, $4.99. Just glad K1 isn't stunting MHJ and MW's growth anymore. It's unequivocally undeniable that Brissett has elevated McBride, MHJ, and MW. That's
got to be tough for Kyler Murray to hear because, Libertarian, you're not the only one who's saying that. And that's a big talking point nationally.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. People have no dog in this fight except for like their fantasy football team. And people are like, why do I keep drafting Marv? And these Cardinal players are unplayable. And then Jacoby comes in, they're throwing for 350. And it's just like, oh, okay.
Caught up with Marv at his locker today. He talked about Jacoby Brissett. No, I know we're in super chats, but let's hear from the Cardinals' top wide receiver on Jacoby.
I mean, he's obviously, a tremendous leader for us. I think his communication and understanding of the offensive system, has done, a tremendous job for just everybody. And like I said, it really takes all 11 guys to kind of do the job. And obviously, he's done his part, but, receivers making plays and O-line making plays and running backs all doing the job. Definitely goes into success. Yeah, I mean, if you see him doing it, you got to go across the middle and you got to be able to hold on to the ball and do the same thing for him. So I think definitely giving him his courage, be able to push the ball down the field helps all of us help make those explosive plays.
I love the comment from Marv about like Michael Wilson got that route for 50 yards. He's like, yeah, I've gotten that route before. Marv got it this week, or Michael got it this week. And you could tell him, Marv's like, I want that route. Give me that route. The 50-yard catch and run.
That throw was sick. We've got a piece of content going up about that. Keeping it going here with the super chats. Hi, Kyle. $1.99. The brisket is smoking. Team Jake Brisket for the win.
There's a good barbecue place by the Cardinals facility. Bo and I have had it before. It's excellent. Picking spreads, $5. Can't say names because I'm a college scout. However, there are a few QBs in this class I definitely like. I don't know if anyone feels the same. Keep grinding. I think the Cardinals are going to benefit either way. I think if it's not a great class, guess whose value goes up? If it is a great class, they'll snag one. But I would recommend our guy Fran Duffy, go PHNX.com, his draft guide. But like I saw Instagram post from Sam Levitt today. He had surgery. So see what happens to Sam if he, announces he's going back. I mean, his foot's in a cast, so maybe like the combine's out of the question if he declares, but I still wouldn't be surprised if he declared, depending on the grade he would get. But I mean, like Lenore Sellers, a bunch of these guys, Ty Simpson, like I like a lot of them. I don't love a lot of them. Might be a good year though, to get somebody that sneaky undervalued and you can sit for a little bit.
The thing with Levitt is he's one of those guys with his skill set. He has the projectables. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He's got the arm strength. Lacks the accuracy, and I think he lacks, obviously the experience with under 20 college starts. But there is a reality where, enough NFL teams would give him a high enough, grade that it could persuade him to come out, even though it wouldn't be the best thing for him. But yeah, there are some real intriguing quarterbacks in this class, and regardless if he's ready or not, I think he's going to be in the conversation this year or next. Mendoza is somebody. I sent Johnny Mendoza. He looks hysterically like the biggest goober in the world, but his play is stellar, man. Like 6'5". He's got a little mobility to him. Got a decent arm. The production's there playing in the Big Ten. I know Indiana plays a bit of a cupcake schedule. It's like Jake Paul fight set up, but he's probably going to not be there when the Cardinals are selecting. But it's right now it's the usual suspects. It's like Mendoza, it's Dante Moore, Lenore Sellers, where you're still like, where's the production here? Is he just another, Anthony Richardson type?
Simpson, who's surrounded by great players. I don't love his arm.
Right.
I mean, like,
Nussmeier, right? He's
wouldn't hate it.
He's 6'1", right?
But he's thick. He's a thick boy. Mendoza, I feel like would be their pick based on what you just described. Like, don't you feel like with what they're doing with Jacoby right now, it's just like they just want a younger, more athletic version of what they have with Jacoby Brissett right now? Like if you're Drew Petzing and you're hammering play action, I mean, it's like I think you called Brissett like a little bit of a poor man's Big Ben. Like that's kind of what they want. Now it's easier said than done finding it in the draft, but like you want a unicorn, you want somebody that like. They're not going to draft an Anthony Richardson type where it's like super mobile, freight train running around. It's like I think the more we see with them, the more they would like somebody 6'2", 6'3", if not taller, that just stands in the pocket. And with the investments they've made, they're skill players. Like you can understand that. Like we're going to see if they feel like they can win some games the second half of this year. They're 12th, 13th right now in the draft. Yeah. I mean, they win this weekend, put the pause on the QB talk for a little while.
Yeah. Luke Stevens, 199. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's go, Luke. Sorry. On IR, study clause and not backing up equals no trade value.
Luke is of the mindset the Cardinals are going to have a tough time dealing him. You're not alone. It's going to be his image is important. And this is not a knock on Kyler Murray, but you can get a lot of teams that are dysfunctional to do dysfunctional things. So
I don't think the study clause is an issue any longer. I don't think the fact that they are hiding him at this point, like Kyler Murray can be he can be a good quarterback in the NFL. He can. He's proven that much.
He's good at times this year.
Yeah, he was. And there are some teams that are down so tremendous at the quarterback position that they're going to have to find a way to get Kyler Murray but do they feel like they need to trade for him? That's going to be the biggest question for the Cardinals. He's going to play somewhere. He's likely going to start somewhere next year.
Jets, Saints. Yeah. Lamar, $5. K1 needs a veteran head coach, not these rookie coaches. I mean, I mean, he had success with Cliff. Any coach that he gets, he needs to. Here's the tough part. It's like they're going to have to run a specific kind of offense, or they're going to have the flexibility where the Cardinals did not, where it's like Kyler runs this offense, then if we have some backups, they'll do this, because nobody can emulate what he does. So that's why I feel like Kellen Moore, it's like they're a disaster. Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shuck, like those guys will be on the team next year, but you're not building shit around those guys. Those are Jags. So it's like, if they don't have a quarterback and they're just like, we're just going to go BPA, we're going to get Kyler Murray in here. I'm Kellen Moore. I'm going to let him operate in the dome. I'm going to spread people out. Chris Olave, like that's a very easy fit.
Yeah. I mean, I would say Jets, Steelers, and then start to kind of forecast it with how things transpire to start the offseason. But he's going to have to be off the roster, I believe, by March 15th.
Yeah.
And before some guarantees start to come into play. MK, we finally have our boogeyman, #Nolen. Love that.
Yeah. What he did Monday, they haven't had that from a rookie in forever. We asked Kurt Warner off air. We should have asked him on air. Bo asked him, did he envision Calais Campbell like having this kind of career? And he said he was skinny. He was really tall. How is he going to get leverage? And credit to him, he's become a borderline Hall of Famer. But he was the first pick of the second round.
Yeah.
And you could argue maybe he played out of position until he got to Jacksonville. Like Walter Nolen is the definition of plug and play right now. Free.
Yeah. Love it. Wrapping it up with Darth Vader, $1.99. Thank you, Darth.
Thank you.
What about Miami for K1? See, the only way that works with Tua's contract is if it's Kyler's released and you just get to pay him, peanuts.
If I'm Kyler, why would I go to Tua's going to be their quarterback?
No, I don't think they can. Tua probably is just going to be the most overpriced backup in the league until they can just cut bait.
Man, I don't know. I think it's more likely they draft a quarterback and then I think Kyler, these teams that don't love the QB class or they've gone the young quarterback route before, he's a little bit of a unicorn. It's like he's not 30 years old yet. He's going to be healthy. He's going to have sat out most of this year. Mm-hmm. And teams are going to be like, okay, we can get our fan base excited. They don't have to watch a bunch of slot. People complain about Kyler. Justin Fields has been the worst quarterback in the NFL this year.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Shuck right now, they should have never gone away from Spencer Rattler. Shuck he's not an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, if Shuck continues to struggle, I think that's the place to go.
Saints make a ton of sense, but again, will teams wait out the Cardinals and call their bluff? We will see. But here's the thing. Right now, the Cardinals did what they needed to do to be able to focus on the games at Hambo.
Yeah, no doubt about it. If you missed that conversation, it's earlier in the show. We've got Brian Baldinger. Baldy's going to join us tomorrow, 4:30. Don't miss it. Make sure you subscribe to PHNX Sports for all the great content, like the video we dropped earlier today. You can check that out on demand. Set up alerts. Follow PHNX_Cardinals on Twitter, Instagram, your socials. Follow Johnny at Johnny Venerable. Follow me at Bo Brack. For Noah, have a great Wednesday night. We'll talk to you guys soon here on PHNX Cards.
We all silly like the mayor.